Hey, I'm Josh from Vacuum Czarist in Colorado, and I said I wasn't going to do it, but I am going to do a Dyson clutch rebuild video. I realized there's a lot of clutch videos out there. However, I did not find one that went over one specific issue that people tend to run into when rebuilding clutches. So I'm going to do my own clutch rebuild video here for y'all and cover all of the different things that can go wrong. First thing when we're rebuilding a clutch, when I take the clutches out, I actually usually cut these belts off, the old belts, because we're going to be putting new ones on. So you'll notice that I'm missing this belt right here, right? There is, on this end, there is a little C-clip in there. We usually call them Jesus clips because when you pull them off, they go flying across the room and you go, Jesus! I do not have the tool for removing that at this store. So you're gonna get to see how to remove it using just picks. So I put a pick on either side of the clip, and then I pull the clip apart. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a pick on either side of this right here, and then I'm pulling them in opposite directions. I've got it up a little ways now, so I'm gonna put my hand over it so that it doesn't go flying across the room. All right, and there we go, we got it off. Do not lose this. Some of the clutch rebuild kits will come with this C-clip, some will not. Okay, so I'm going to cut this belt and just get it out of the way. I'm also going to remove, there is a sticker right here, and I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And then we have this metal clip is going to need to come off right here, and that will just slide up. When I put it back on, you see the bend that's right there, the way that that's bent. We're going to be putting it on like that when it goes off. We'll set that aside. There's two screws right here. I believe those are T10. We sell a bit set, which I will link to below, that has all of the different Torx bits, and they're actually in a security bit configuration. So they work for shark vacuums as well. We sell all the different Torx sizes that you could potentially encounter in both Dyson or Shark vacuum cleaners. So I've removed both of these screws. There is a clip here. Now this is the dicey part. If you break this clip, this clutch is done, and you're not going to be able to rebuild this clutch. So you have to be real careful when you pull that out. Sometimes when I'm a little bit concerned about potentially breaking something, I'll put a little bit of isopropyl alcohol as a lubricant just to get it wet so that it comes out easier. I'm going to go ahead and take a flathead right here, and I'll put it in there, and I'll just very gently press that tab out, and it popped out without breaking the tab, fortunately. Okay, so I also had my bearing pop out the other end, which is normal, that happens frequently. I'm going to turn this over, and all its guts are going to fall out. So you can go ahead and clean out the inside of this. Okay, so now there's a clutch plate on here that will come out, and you can actually flip that clutch plate around. You have to be real careful, it's a little bit delicate. I'm going to put my pick underneath it and it'll come right out, and I can flip it over, right? So this is the side we've been using. The other side is brand new. So I'm going to flip it over so I have a new clutch plate on there. All right, there's a bunch of stuff in here. Be careful when you take this apart. You're going to have 3 little beads come out. Those are, whoops, see how easy they are to lose? That was my point. Super easy to lose, so make sure you set those aside and don't lose them. All right, and now you've got right here, this is what the beads set in, and this metal piece will pop right out. You can also go ahead and clean that up with isopropyl alcohol as well. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just cleaner than it was. It's going to get dirty again anyway. So some rebuild clips will come with this, some will not, some will just be 2 belts. You really don't need to replace this anyway. This one's a little bit dirty. There's a little bit of hair on it. I'm going to pull that off. If there's a lot of belt residue, which this really isn't that bad, then you can go ahead and clean it off. I'll spritz it real quick. But realistically, that's not going to have any actual impact on the performance of this clutch. All right, so I've got a clutch kit here. I'll link to this below. We do sell these on our website. This product is one of the very few products we do not accept any returns on, and that is due to the difficulty of rebuilding clutches and the high failure rate. It's not our fault. If you don't rebuild it right and you break your clutch, we're not going to take these clutch rebuild kits back. It's just, it is what it is. Okay, so I'm going to put the metal piece back in here. Put the belt on this, and then I'm going to take my clutch. And so you feed the belt down here, and it will pop out the side right there. And then you kind of turn that while pulling the belt, and it will pop. It'll pop right in. So now I've got that right back in there, right? Okay, so next I'm gonna take the 3 beads. So we've got that metal plates down there. I'm gonna take the 3 beads and I'm gonna carefully place them inside of here. So I've got the 3 beads in there. And then the next piece that comes down is we have this piece goes on, and that will hold your beads in place. And then this piece goes down. You can see there's divots there for those little beads. All right, and I'm going to show you, mine didn't fall apart when I took it apart, but in case it does, you'll find that you have this one little ring that goes inside here, and then the spring goes on top of it, and then that goes down inside here. And we'll wiggle that around so that our beads don't get moved. There we go. If you turn this, you'll see where these little guys will fit down inside the grooves down here. So if you turn this just right and push it down, you'll see you can push it all the way down. If you don't hit between those grooves, it won't go down all the way. That's as far as I'm going. If I turn it and get between the grooves, there we go. I can go farther down. So when we're putting this together, we're going to need to be able to be between those grooves, because we're going to have to push this all the way down when we put the cap on. All right, so next I'm going to put this on. It's pretty obvious. This goes on here. Okay, and so finally, and this is the stage where it's possible to break this clip that I was talking about. When you're putting this on, if you break this clip, you're done. Your clutch is done. So I got this belt, which I'm going to put on here. All right, so we got the belt around there. And we're going to line up right here. We'll put the belt there, and we'll see, make sure our clip is lined up there. That's where it needs to be. And I'm going to gently press. Oops, my belt just came out the side. I'm going to gently press and see if that clips in, and it is not. So I don't want to push any harder because I could potentially break my clip. So what's happening is I don't have this lined up quite right, where it'll push all the way down. Now I do. And the problem with this, and what's challenging about this, is while you're putting this on, it's really easy to move that around and not line up anymore. Do not manhandle this because you'll break the clip. Oh, got it. There we go, one right down. If you pull the belt, you can move the internal gears. If you pull the belt as you're pushing it down, but it is clipped in now. Did not break the clip. And while we were doing that, this piece fell out, the other side. So the small end goes down. And then I mentioned before that my bearing fell out. I'm gonna pop that back in. All right. And that's there. And then we'll put these 2 screws back in. Okay, so now I use a socket driver to push that bearing back down. I'm gonna grab that C-clip, and because I was messing around with the C-clip, you typically find that it's kind of stretched out, so I pinch the C-clip back into place before I put it back on. And I'll put it back on there. All right, and then I'll use my driver to put it back on, and now my C-clip's back on. So this is the part that we've all been waiting for, the part that is missed in a lot of these tutorials. So while you're playing around and manhandling this thing, sometimes your clutch plates will stick together. And so you rebuild the clutch, you'll install the clutch will work, but it will not turn off. It stays on all the time. So to prevent that from happening, you can take a hammer, and on this side, right there in the center, that rod that goes through this, just give it a little tap to separate the clutch pads there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the clip back on. You can see that bend in the clip. That's the way it goes. And it just kind of wiggles and it will snap right on. So now I'm gonna show you how to test your clutch once you have rebuilt it, right? So if I turn this belt when my clutch is engaged, if I turn the small belt by hand, you should see the white pulley moves. When I disengage the clutch, I should be able to pull the small belt and the white pulley will not move. Re-engage, pull it, my pulley will move. And then I should be able to apply some tension to that pulley. And so I'm holding this belt, applying tension, and it's still moving, even with a little bit of tension, as I'm pulling the small belt. And again, I'll disengage and verify that I can turn the small belt and the pulley is no longer moving. So that's a good clutch. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna, the plastic that I took off of there is a little bit worn. So I'm gonna actually use a little bit of masking tape or packing tape to close that off, instead of the original sticker that was on there because it was damaged. All right, and that is a fully rebuilt clutch. We're gonna go ahead and install that. There is another video about installing clutches and removing clutches as well, which is worth watching, particularly if you're a do-it-yourselfer. It shows how to get the clutch back in with a pair of screwdrivers. It's a difficult process, and I don't even make it look easy, and I've done it thousands of times. But there's another video showing you how to put these things back in again that you can find on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.